Okay. My name is Christos Giovanopoulos. First of all, I would like to thank you, for the invitation. I feel sorry that I cannot speak French and I cannot contribute more in the discussion. My name is Christos Giovanopoulos. Currently, I work on a project that tries to put together the development of grassroots democratic infrastructures and solidarity. It is called Infrademos, and it is in a project run also by the Free University of Amsterdam. And politically, I'm a member of a founding member of the Hub of Social Economy Innovation and support and empowerment. Sorry, and also. And I participate the last the last decade in the grassroots solidarity movement, and currently in the network of the solidarity schools, and also on the communication team of the Metropolitan Clinic of Elliniko, one of the larger solidarity in Athens.
Okay.
So let's start from one of the results or the social developments of the crisis in Greece has been a very rich and expanded grassroots development of solidarity initiatives.
Yeah.
The last 10 years, since late 2011. This movement has been important also to create this political shift towards the left, or what was considered at the time the radical left, but at the same time it produced a different model of social self-organization. It is connected very closely to the occupation of the Syntagma Square. Actually, it was not only the Syntagma Square occupation. In Greece, we speak about the squares occupation movement and the Greek Indignados movement. It was expanded. It kind of embraced all Greece, and only in Athens alone, it was there were 42 local people's assemblies around the whole metropolitan area of Athens. So this movement provided at the time provided a model of self-organization and direct democracy, popularized this model actually, and popularized ideas about alternative economies and kinds of direct solidarity, peer-to-peer solidarity, etc. But at the same time, it showed that the feasibility of these things to happen. So it broke down this imagination that these practices belong to an utopia. I also want to underline that the importance of this movement, it was a movement, I mean, the Indignados, the squares occupation movement, and then the solidarity movement that followed it. It was a movement that at its center was the political struggle. It was not a project to develop an alternative kind of health, for example, or an alternative kind of food production, but was the political struggle against the supervision regime of the Troika. Okay, so they were fighting for democracy, first of all, and then these democratic practices were translated in the various other aspects in everyday life when this movement went down to the neighborhoods. So when the people left the central squares and they went to the neighborhoods, actually the political struggle was integrated with the everyday struggle for survival against the austerity measures. And there, the most important thing, it was to respond to the immediate needs of the people in order to be able, as we were saying at the time, to be able to stand up, to stand up in order to be able to stand up fighting. But the way that we were trying to meet these needs, it was not the way that the people were used to. So we developed, this is the space where alternative practices were developed, where grassroots social innovation and knowledge was utilized in order to give life to different kind of models of social relations, social spaces, social economy, etc., social health, etc. Yeah. So, and in this process, certain ideas or models that existed before of alternative practices were translated accordingly to the local needs and local actors. And it is interesting that this created, how to say, a universe of similar principles, but very different specified practices accordingly to the environment that were practiced. So on this level, we had we had a networks among groups that were building solidarity in food sector, for example, yeah, or in health. We had the coordination of the solidarity schools, the solidarity schools network, etc. But at the same time, we had coordinations on regional level. Okay, the neighboring towns, let's say, and we had a very dynamic, let's say, mix of local and universal, and the difference, and what unites, what keeps us together. And also at the same time, very importantly, this movement kept alive this conjunction of the political struggle with the everyday struggle, of the personal level of countering a problem, but also countering this problem in a collective political way. And this is why most of the vast majority, over 90% of the solidarity structures, they don't have a legal status. And this is what differentiates them from the civil society, the religion, the religious organizations, charities, or other kind of NGOs and other kind of philanthropic organizations. Mm-hmm. So very briefly, let me share my screen just to play on the background, and I will carry on talking about to get a picture about what kind of solidarity structures we're talking about. Yeah. So you can see in the slideshow, you can see it is from a few years back until it covers all the period until 2016-17. Yeah. But you can see what kind of solidarity structures were developed. Yeah. So we had solidarity structures on food, different kinds, from collective, the most important being the without middlemen movement that connected directly farmers with urban consumers. So it was a mutual benefit on both sides by circumventing the middlemen, yeah, the mediators, and also there were collective food banks. This was the most widespread, let's say, groups on the food sector. We had soup kitchens and all that stuff, also self-organized, but not that many. Then there was the solidarity clinics and the solidarity pharmacies. Yep. So then there were the solidarity pharmacies and the solidarity clinics, and actually those have been one of the most successful examples, because 1/3 of the population of the of the Greece were excluded by access to the public healthcare services. Yeah, yeah. We had solidarity classes, both on many scales, to support students, school students, as exchange of knowledge and workshops between cities, adults, and also to refugees, support to refugees, solidarity kind of classes to refugees, yeah, educational support to refugees. We had also different forms of solidarity economies, from barter economies, alternative currencies, but those were limited, up to self-organized factories, the workers that occupied their abandoned factories and try to run them, and yeah, that's all. And also a new generation of self-managed workers' cooperatives that grew up and still is going on in Greece. And of course, we had, after 2014, when was a huge wave of, or threat of eviction of people from their houses, we had the development of a house, a right to the housing movement from all those, from these grassroots solidarity groups, let's say, yeah? So these were the different levels or fields, let's say, of solidarity activity. Just before time runs, I want to say that it was very vibrant, this movement, and it played a critical role, a key role in the referendum, in the no referendum in 2015. It developed the most successful campaign for voting no, when even Syriza itself didn't develop it didn't develop so huge campaign for no. So for this reason, when Syriza made a U-turn and accepted and signed the fourth memorandum, this movement received a huge blow, okay, in its morals and in its dynamism, let's say. At the same time, it was the summer, the so-called summer of the refugee so-called crisis, yeah? This movement had already popularized practices of grassroots solidarity. And it played a key role before any agreement with the EU, before anything that the Greek state did to support the refugees. So we had at the time, in this period between the summer and the winter of 2015, over 58% of the Greek population, participated in one way or another in the solidarity to the refugees. And this is a result of the spread of this solidarity movement on a grassroots level. So, and as a development of this the second wave of grassroots solidarity, we had the development of the self-organized refugees solidarity spaces, yeah, and accommodation places. This went for a good 2 years between 2015 and 2017 with autonomous places for refugees. And also we can see another smaller wave of this grassroots solidarity being activated with the COVID-19 and with the mutual help groups. And this time had got some interesting results that I will tell, not results, qualities that I will tell later. During this last wave of solidarity, of new solidarity groups, let's say, some qualities emerged that in reality they are results of the previous developments, and I will tell I will tell later now in my next few sentences about who are those. So the question is, what has remained from this solidarity movement, and what changes has achieved, how effective it is in resulting in political changes, because we see also in Greece a conservative government with authoritarian tendencies, nationalism also being around and all that stuff, yeah? So very briefly, first of all, this grassroots movement has created a different kind of political culture, different concept of politics, and also different kind of social relationships that in reality, as the political system and the representatives, the existing parties, the political cartography of Greece cannot accommodate this kind of politics, sorry. This is why the abstention is so high, but at the same time, we have to say that this movement hasn't managed to build political processes in order to have its own independent political voice. At the same time, the political spaces and networks that has created have delivered a model that the Greek society uses, and the most recent example it is for solidarity to to those affected by the fires this summer, this month. Yeah, just to give you an example, it is the storehouses of the municipalities were overflown by solidarity sent to them by people, by ordinary people, and through this kind of networks. And to the degree that this municipality said, please don't send us any more solidarity. So they have provided a model, that it is rooted in the Greek society, and most importantly, they have developed infrastructures that support this model. And this is very critical, because in times of prolonged crisis, these infrastructures, they become the hubs and the meeting and the point where people go and know that they can trust each other, and they can find support and organize itself. And of course, through these infrastructures and networks, also different kinds of policies emerge that not can replace, but they are against both the market solution to social issues, and also they're critical of the welfare state model, at the same time that they support the universal rights of people to all, to everything. Yeah. So the big question, it is through what processes we're going to have the development of a political subject, a political representation of these initiatives. This is a larger issue that goes beyond Greece. Actually, we're in transitional moment everywhere in Europe. But what is the positivity is that these practices and spaces of infrastructures of radical democracy, they go beyond concepts of politics and structures of politics that are defined by the national question. For example, refugees, immigrants, and immigrant communities and local population, they're together in these groups, but also these groups, they have created these networks that utilize the local knowledge, local resources, with knowledge that is distributed globally. So the issue of commons and developing infrastructures of commons, either in urban or rural areas, has become very important. Has become very important, and I think it is a way that we can pave a way out of this situation and create and enter a new, positive, more hopeful circle again. Thank you.